Panther family, what is going on? Welcome back to another episode of the Iowa State Podcast. I'm your host, Mac, and I hope you guys have been happy and healthy out there since we last saw each other. It feels so good to be back, and boy, do I have a good one. My excitement for this episode honestly might be at an all-time high because not only do I have one guest who is an absolute legend within Georgia State sports history, I have two. My guests tonight are the Ferary twins, Bella and Angel. Angel and Bella are two absolute legends, as I said, for the Sandy Panthers, owning several postseason awards and school records, and honestly just going to own even more by the end of this year. But we'll get into all that. We'll get into all that in the interview. Ladies, I know I thanked y'all fair for giving me some time, but I want to thank you again for giving me some time this evening. As I said, I know your schedules are very hectic, but I won't waste too much more of it, so we'll go ahead and get right into it. This first question is a question that every guest of mine on the Iowa State podcast get, and I'm actually very interested to see what you guys say. Being sisters, is the answer going to be the same or different? So we'll see. But the first question is really just simply, what has been your guys' favorite part of being a student athlete at Georgia State?
I think being an athlete at Georgia State, I think the community we have here, it being kind of a weird college campus, but everyone just comes together as like one big community of Atlanta. We are Atlanta. I think we take that title with pride, and I think over like all the sports, I think all the coaches are friends. I think we get together with all of our student athletes, and like we all have the same goal. We all have the same pride for our school, and that's the biggest thing. We're one big community, and it's really awesome.
Yeah, I honestly think the exact same way. Not because we're twins, but I've just had the similar experience. Ever since we were freshmen, being like when we came in, it was COVID and there wasn't much going on. But the only people on campus that we would see were athletes, and we just got to see everybody, make connections with everybody, get to know the teams, and I know that the community itself, everybody comes around and we all go to each other's games. We all understand other sports. So it's different. Like all of our programs have similarities when it comes to community and just getting to know everybody.
I love it. I love it. No, that's somewhere along those lines has been the most common answer. It's just the community. And like you guys even said, befriending, student athletes who play different sports, not just beach volleyball. So that's really cool that you guys, have all been able to do that together. So that's awesome. Second part of that question, and I guess this is where it might end up being a little different for both of you, but who knows? What has been your favorite memory so far of being a Georgia State student athlete?
Being a Georgia State student athlete, I think specifically, mine's more specific to our sport. I think getting to have different experiences with traveling, going to different schools. I think mine for sure is going to nationals, like playing at the NCAAs in May. Both our sophomore and our junior year last year. I think that was my favorite memory by far. Just getting to play in that atmosphere, getting to play the top teams in the nation, getting to upset the top teams in the nation. Like what we keep reminding ourselves is that we belong there, that we deserve to be these places, even though like not many people might not know what Georgia State is, like even as a beach volleyball or like a school in general. But I think getting to show up and like beat these big teams and to play these big teams and to be on a national stage like that is just awesome. And I'm so grateful that our team has made it that far these past couple of years.
Yeah. I'd say my answer is more towards like our campus experiences. Like I love the travel piece that our sport brings, but being a Georgia State student athlete and being more specific to our sport as well is having home events. I think that where our courts are, where our facility is so different compared to a lot of schools. And sometimes I have people come to me like, oh, we have a beach volleyball team. That's crazy. But when you finally see the venue that we're at, it's very fun to have people come together, come support our team. Like, especially this past weekend, we upset LSU at our home courts, and we had a massive home crowd. We had other sports come. We had our families, friends, anybody come, and even people that have never actually watched beach volleyball before. They just came to support, and I love the home pride that we have every single time we step on the sand at Georgia State.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, no, I've always said the best beaches in Atlanta aren't at Lake Lanier. It's right there off Decatur Street. Cool. So this next question will kind of go down the timeline a little bit for the Ferrari twins. But you were both born and raised in the Atlanta metropolitan area and have excelled at beach volleyball since you both started playing. Georgia State has also been ranked since March of 2015, which, that goes back to when you guys were likely in middle school and maybe even younger. Yeah. So point being, with both you and Georgia State playing at such a high level in the sport of beach volleyball, did coming to Georgia State to play beach volleyball kind of just make sense?
Okay, so to be fair, Angel and I started the recruiting process at maybe a little later than some people our age at the time, because there was a rule in the NCAA beach volleyball community that you were allowed to recruit and commit to a school when you were a freshman. But then they changed that once it got to later in the days, and they're like, oh, these people are recruiting way too early. Like, they need more time to take a step back and look at all the schools that have offers available. But we actually didn't have Georgia State on our radar when we first started playing beach volleyball. It was literally in our backyard, and we, for some reason, just never thought about it. We never really thought about the schools that there were. We just thought about excelling at the sport that we were at. And when we finally got into the college space and started recruiting, the reason that we started to actually look at Georgia State is because Beth Van Fleet reached out to us first. We were so, in the beginning, we were so focused on who has a name in beach volleyball, who wants to do this, like South Carolina or a school out west. But when we were allowed to start talking to coaches and coaches were allowed to start communicating with us, Beth Van Fleet reached out to us, sent us an email, said she'd love to start chatting. And we were like, oh yeah, there's a school in Georgia and they're actually really good. And so we just started talking with her, and we started to realize that it wasn't just the in-state, or it wasn't just the programs ranked what they have accomplished in the past. It wasn't really that. It was mostly our culture and what Beth and Flea had to offer when it comes to a program and just a community of a program. But we never really had to stay on our radar until Beth Van Fleet really made herself known to us.
I think, yeah, that was a big piece. We were thinking more like we got to get recruited fast because we don't know what kind of offers we're going to get. Because as two shorter players, it is really hard for school to want two of you. And being two shorter players, people also don't recruit those two pairs together because you're probably not going to play as a pair on the lineup. And I think that was also a big reason that we chose Georgia State, is because Beth gave us a chance that many other schools weren't. A lot of schools were saying, we only want one of you. We only have space for one defender, because no one thought we could play together. And we proved ourselves together. We played in these big tournaments. We ended up winning national titles. And I think that's a big step for us, was going to a program that would accept us how we are and can accept our raw talent and our weird playing style. I don't know how much you know about beach volleyball, but usually don't see two shorter people playing together.
Yeah, very abnormal, very.
But hey, Beth gave us that chance, and it took us a while. It took us a time to prove ourselves. We didn't start together, but we eventually decided hey, we're gonna go for this because she's giving us a chance, and I want to go with her.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, no, you say I don't know too much about beach volleyball, but I started watching honestly because of you two and how well this program is. And I definitely noticed there was a little bit of disparity between the sizes of some of the there between you two. So I definitely noticed that. And about Coach Van Fleet too, I haven't had the pleasure of meeting her yet, but the everything I've heard about her, she just seems like an absolute saint of a person. So
she's awesome.
So glad she's leading that program. Couldn't have a better person do it. Cool. Well, like I said, we'll move down the timeline a little bit here, guys. You guys went to Mount Perrin Christian up in Kennesaw and helped lead the Eagles to a state title in 2018. Describe that feeling you both had when that final set was sealed and you guys knew oh my gosh, we just won a championship. How did that feel?
I think for one, I think indoor at the time was a huge thing for me and Bella, because it was something that we previously weren't very good at because of our height. But playing in high school, anyone can be anything, because in high school, everyone wants you just get the chance to play. You get the chance to represent your school and to play other really good teams. And fortunately, we had a really good coach, Selena Chansey. She gave us a chance. She let us prove ourselves in the beginning of the season. Like, I might be short, but I can hit. So I played outside hitter and she played setter. And I think that that was one thing, playing indoor, and how fun it was that we got to do things that normally like people our size wouldn't be able to do. But I think winning that state title, like the first time for our school ever, was awesome feeling. And it wasn't like we just got there and it was like a really close game. Like we got there and we made a statement. We were like, we are going to be a good program from here on out.
And I want to add on to that year, 2018, that we won. The previous year, we went to the state title to play for it, but ended up losing in close sets. And we were just fired up to go back and win that for our school. And like Angel said, it was very exhilarating for the feeling of like we finally won this, and like it was the first time our school ever did it, and we were just really happy that we could have been a part of it.
And I think ever since our team, like when we graduated, we made it to the semifinals and we lost to the team that we beat the semifinals that year. But ever since then, I think our team has won the state title. So I think
they're crushing it.
They're crushing it.
Love it. Hey, shout out Mount Perrin.
Shout out Mount Perrin. Go Eagles.
Love it. Love it. Yeah. So I gotta get some clarification. You were saying Mount Perrin's first championship. Were you saying that was Mount Perrin's like first state championship in total, or just in beach volleyball?
Like, just in indoor volleyball.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Because that was kind of a little perfect almost segue to my next question about championships in Georgia State. I'm sure you guys are aware Georgia State has not won a national championship in any team sport or any sport in general. But I've always said that the first team to do it in Georgia State history is going to be our beach volleyball team. So with the revenge tour that you guys went on in 2018, do you kind of feel that revenge tour this year? Because I mean, I don't want to jinx you guys or anything, but I'm sure nationals will be on the palette here soon. So is revenge in the back of your guys' mind at all?
So yeah, ever since we had that really good run in our sophomore year at nationals where we beat the number 2 seed as a 10th seed, we've always been like, we need to prove ourselves. Like we had proved ourselves then, but a lot of people thought it was a fluke. So you're like, okay, we gotta strive for this. Like we gotta prove to these people that we're allowed to be here. Like we have earned our spot, and we just need to like strive to keep that better. And also, like ever since we came to Georgia State, we actually we wrote cards to our senior selves as freshmen. And in the cards, Angel and I both said, "Hi, future self. I hope you're doing well. I hope you've made it to nationals by now." Because when we came to the program, they haven't been in a couple years. And our goal as freshmen and beyond, we were thinking to ourselves, like, we want to be on a program that can make us better. Like the coaching staff, players, everything can make us better. But at the same time, we want to be able to help a program out and get them to reach their goals. And when I read that this year to my senior self, I was like, wow, I've accomplished so much. I've had this strive to make a program like better. And this program has like done so much for us, and we've done so much for them. And it's just so fun to like look back at it and see like, wow, like I hoped for this and we made it. But it's like, have you made it to nationals? The next line was, have you won it? So it's always been in our mind. Like we always have that idea, like anybody can be anybody in this sport. And as long as like we have that revengeful mindset of saying we belong here, we need to, we can prove that we are one of those top teams. Like it's always been on the mind. Yes.
And I think as a whole, beach volleyball has become such a competitive sport in the past couple of years. It's only been an NCAA sport, I think, since 2016, 2015, something like, so fairly new sport. And I think that it's one of the most fast. Oh my gosh, I said that wrong. One of the fastest growing sports in the NCAA, competitive wise and school wise. I think it only started at like about 30 D1 schools when we committed, and now we're almost at like 70 or 80. So maybe I might be wrong on those numbers, but it's grown pretty fast. And we're in a mindset where anybody can beat anybody. And like we like to think back to, we did this upset this time, we lost to this team this time, we just upset someone that upset the number one team. Why can't we do that? So it's a constant game of, we can do that. We can prove ourselves. We have proved ourselves. Let's do it again. So
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, it's I know you guys can do it again. It's coming. It's coming. So you guys now again going down the timeline a little bit, you're now at Georgia State. You both had absolute stellar starts to your career with, I believe Angel went 19-3 and I think Bella went 24-9, which is just insane. Um, with having such stellar freshman years though, and winning a state championship your senior year, did that I don't get this vibe from you guys, but was that expected? Were you guys kind of like coming in and like, yeah, we better win. Like this is what we do.
I wouldn't say it's expected because I would say that we start fresh every time that we've ever accomplished something. Like our first goal was to get recruited. Okay, cool, we recruited. Now it's time to get into the lineup because a lot of people say that freshmen don't expect to play because freshmen are new to the team. They have to learn all the kinks. They got to know how to do everything, and they they just have to work for it. So that was our mindset. We were like, okay, fresh start. We're on a new team. We got to earn our spot. And I like everything moved around differently than what we planned. Like I started before she did, and then we finally got our chance. And then once we got our chance, we're like, okay, cool. Now let's show that we belong in this lineup. And as our careers have gone on, we've proven that we're like, okay, we're in the fours. Now let's move to the ones. And junior year last year, like our coach saw it best if we were higher in the lineup. And then we we're like, okay, cool. We're higher in the lineup. Let's prove that we belong here. And just like going from one step to the next, to the next, to the next, like wanting to always improve on something. Because if we accomplish something and then we're like, okay, cool, and then stop, like our motivations aren't like the same anymore. Like you don't play with that same fire if you don't have a goal in mind.
yeah, there's always more goals that you can have. And I think coming into college or that summer before college, our goal was, we are going to go out from juniors, the junior level beach volleyball, with a bang. And we played in 2 national tournaments, ended up medaling in both. And I think that was a good platform for us to be like, okay, we ended juniors like this. Now it's time to start working to do this and to have this next goal. And like what she said, there's no fire if you don't keep having new goals. Like our team, when we won conference to get to nationals in our sophomore year, it was win conference. First, we had to upset 2 teams because they were ranked above us in the conference. Like, okay, we're going to win conference. Okay, let's get to nationals, prove ourselves. We beat Grand Canyon. Okay, we're in the second round. Let's beat another team. We upset number 2 TCU. And then we're in the national semifinal, and we're like, oh my gosh, we're here. So just it's those constant goals of trying to get to the next one and seeing what your next goal for the next year is. It's important to always have like long-term and short-term goals.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Gosh, no, you guys are getting me fired up over here.
He's getting out. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go. So yeah, as you guys kind of alluded to in both your answers, you set those goals, reset them. Your sophomore year, you guys went 37-2. So I don't know how much better you can do than that. You guys, as you said, beat the number 2 team, the number 3, number 4, number 5, number 7, number 10, and several other ranked opponents beyond that. You made it to the semifinals in the NCAA tournaments, just all of these accolades from that one year. So very curious, at the end of such a year with all of these accomplishments, what did it end up like meaning to you guys as you kind of like took a step back and, it's a couple months after the season and I'm like, man, we were in the semis. We did all of this crazy stuff. Like what was that feeling like?
I think starting off our sophomore year, our whole team was we were a little down, I think, because we got upset our first game. We were ranked, I think, 16 or 17, and we ended up getting upset by a team that wasn't ranked. And that was our first game, and we were like, oh man, I can't believe we just did that. But then the next day we were super close to beating a ranked team, and we're like, okay, at this point, let's not think about the past. We can only learn from our mistakes and move forward. Because it's a team effort. It's like we might have went 37-2, but at the end of the day, like we're winning for our team. We're not winning for ourselves. And throughout the entire timeline of our sophomore year, it was okay, how can we get better at this? How can we push each other to this? Because we might have had that upset, but how are we going to come back from it? How are we going to upset people at the end of the season so we can get to our national championship? And I think that all of us pushing together, pushing each other, because you can't be successful if people on your team aren't pushing you. And I think that's the reason Bella and I were so successful, is because we had such a great team behind us and pushing us and making us better. And eventually, like getting to the nationals, it's like, okay, we're going to push each other even more. We're going to get this goal, because as a team, we are going to get this goal, because it's not an individual thing. It's a full team thing.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, no, it's I can imagine, like you said, it probably was a little down after nationals in 2022, but you guys seem pretty resilient, so I'm sure you bounce back quick. So one last question about nationals. We'll move on after this one, but I can imagine the trip down to Gulf Shores had to be memorable in more ways than one. So, what are some of your favorite memories or activities or whatever you guys did on the trip outside of playing beach volleyball? So maybe like a meal where you guys were like, this food was delicious, or maybe just a really funny, trip or car ride or something.
At nationals?
Yeah.
Or
Uh-huh.
oh, okay. Ooh, I love Woodside. Woodside.
Every time
Okay.
we go to Gulf Shores, regardless if it's nationals or if it's just traveling for a tournament, we always, as a team, will go to this place called Woodside. And it's like there's
It's like in the middle of the
barbecue.
woods almost.
Yeah.
It's like, and it has like it's in like the woods, and it has like its own little patio where it has a bunch of games and like puzzles. Our team loves puzzles. So before we get our food, everyone's trying to finish the puzzle as fast as they can. We'll do like a ping pong little tournament like after dinner, and everyone, I don't know. For some reason, Woodside is like my favorite place to go, and the food is awesome.
Yes.
It's great.
Has really good brisket. It's
And
really good.
yeah, like this chimichurri sauce. It's so
really
good.
I have to say also, outside of like playing on the stage, they always do NCAA always hosts this banquet for all the teams that are there. And it was really fun just to socialize with the teams that are playing at nationals. Like a lot of sports, like they have a bracket of 64, and they don't really get to socialize or get to know the teams that they all that are competing in that bracket. But especially last year, all 16 teams go to this banquet, and we know a lot of people from when we played before college, and they're all on these teams, and we just get to like have a great time, remember why we're here, understand that like we all love this sport and we all love the community of the sport. And it's just, I love going to that banquet and dancing with everybody and doing little fun activities with everybody. It's just so humbling to know that like everybody's here for the same reason, and we can all be friends before we all like try to knock each other out of the tournament for a national title.
Because we all love beach volleyball, and I think that's why we connected with the sport so much, is because of the community, and that everyone, like, we're all sportsmen, like we all know each other, we all respect each other, and I don't know, it's just something about the sport that just brings people together, and people that don't even know the sport, it brings them together. It brings people new supporters, new fans, new all this stuff. And I don't know. I love our sport so much.
I love it. I love it. No, that's what it's all about at the end of the day. You guys nailed it on the head where the community and all realizing that you're all there for the same thing. I mean, it's an awesome feeling. So I'm glad that's something that's happening for you guys during those get-togethers. So moving on a little bit, last year was no different for the Ferary Twins and the Panthers, as you guys were the Sun Belt Conference Pair of the Year, helped the Sandy Panthers win the inaugural Sun Belt Championship, and got Georgia State back to nationals, as we were saying. So after the stellar freshman year, almost winning it all sophomore year, did last year with, going back to nationals and winning a conference championship, did that kind of just feel like more of the norm? Or, how'd that go?
So I think the major difference from last year and the year before that, two things. One, Bella and I were in a more of a tough position, as you could say, because we moved from like the 4 position to the 1. I don't know how much you know about like the beach volleyball, like the pairs and stuff. It's like almost like college tennis, if you think about it that way, where you have 5 lines and your 1 pair is supposed to be your best pair and your 5 pair is supposed to be like your least competitive pair, but they're still a good pair. It's just supposed to match up with each team's like best pair, second best pair, third best pair. And out of those, whoever wins 3 out of 5 wins the duel. And our sophomore year, we were in the 4s, which is it's still competitive when you play all these teams. Like people are still very good. You can't underestimate them. But moving to the 1s, you're playing the best pairs in the country. And I think that was a big transition for us. And we honestly weren't expecting it in the beginning of the season, but very quickly we switched to the 1s and we're like, okay, these shots that were dropping in and people weren't getting them, they're getting them now. This serve that would usually ace someone, they're passing in system. Like it's just another level of game and another level of trying to find new ways to win and find new ways to get people like out of system. So it's in the ball's in your court almost. And the second thing, the difference between last year and the year before that is that we joined the Sun Belt Conference. And I think that was a huge step, especially for our program, because every other sport in our school is in the Sun Belt Conference and we weren't. And when they decided, we didn't even know if we were going to have a conference in the beginning of that last season. But in I think it was January maybe or December, they decided, hey, people worked very, very hard. The Sun Belt Conference Committee, like they got all this support, all this backing, all this work to make a conference for beach volleyball. And I think that was a prideful thing for our school because we are now part of our like home conference, if that makes sense. And I think that was really, it was a big step for our sport and like having AQs. And if you win your conference, you get to go to nationals, like all this different stuff. I think those are the 2 biggest things that I would take away from last year and the transition from sophomore year and stuff like that.
I love it. I love it. Well, hey guys, I will get you out of here on this question. It's the midst of another great season. You guys are ranked 15-10, 7-0 in conference play. So as you were kind of saying, love being in the Sun Belt Conference. You guys are owning it. So, so with all of that and everything kind of leading up to it, as I know that's what you guys are aiming towards. What do you guys think will need to be done from you guys, your teammates, your coaches, the trainers, everything? What do you guys think will need to be done to bring home that first national championship for Georgia State?
I think that our team and our staff, players and everyone that has to do with an influence on our program just needs to uphold a standard that we have been reaching towards ever since my freshman year. Our program is like second to none when it comes to upholding a standard. When I came in my freshman year, everyone was on the same page about what we're doing, what we wear for practice, like the small things that lead up to competing. And I think that our team, like I've seen so many other teams, heard things from other people, like on other teams, just how different it is from our program to the next. And I think that Georgia State is very, very special when it comes to upholding a standard and just having a different culture on our team. Like everybody, regardless if you play, regardless of if you're high in the lineup, regardless if you have been here for 3 years versus 5 years versus it's your first year, we all treat each other like we're the same person. We all treat each other that we deserve to be here. We got here for a reason, and we all love each other. Like we all are so excited to be on the same team, and we all have the same goals, strive for the same opportunities as like a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, 5th year, whatever there is.
It's a team sport. We all want what's best for each other because at the end of the day, we're playing for each other.
Yeah. And I think that that's the reason that we have a really good chance of bringing home a title is if we contain like our culture and our standard and keep that as we keep moving forward into postseason.
I love it. I love it. I got a good feeling about you guys. I got a good feeling. And hey, maybe too, we'll see if we can get Coach Van Fleet to take you guys. Was it Woodside?
Yes.
Oh, Woodside.
Oh, we're going to
two,
Woodside.
2 nights of Woodside. Maybe 2
Oh.
nights. Yeah, maybe 2 nights.
That's a treat.
Yeah. Maybe that'll be the difference this year. We go to Woodside 2 nights, we bring home that championship. I love it. Well, awesome. Thank you guys so much. It was wonderful getting to talk to you guys, get to know you a little bit better. I will be attentively watching for the rest of the season and wish you guys the absolute best of luck the rest of the way, and also with your semester as well. I know you guys are student athletes, so you gotta.
Before
athlete.
I gotcha. I love it. Well, thank you guys again, and best of luck. And as always, go Panthers.
All right, thank
Thank you so much.
Of course.